Whoops.
Town of Sangerville Board of Select meeting beginning at 5:03, October 4th, 2017. All board members and the town manager are present. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes, September 20, 2017. And September 20, 2017 public hearing minutes. And September 22nd, 2017 emergency meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve all.
Second.
In favor? Review of treasurer's warrants. Payroll number 152 and 153. Accounts payable 154, 155, 156, and 157. Motion?
Make a motion to approve all.
Second.
Open session. Selectmen's concerns. Nobody.
None.
Moving on, item 6, committee reports. Road commissioner has.
I'm gonna hire Lawson's tomorrow to do a culvert or 3, depending on how many he can do in one day. And on the Silver's Mill Road between French's Mills and Brockway Mills. And if I like his job, I may hire him another day to do more.
Good. How are we looking on paving? When's paving start?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yep.
Looks like the weather's holding perfect for us.
Yeah, I think so.
Jeez,
He'll be
yeah.
good.
Yeah, so.
Nice and warm.
Yep.
Anything else?
Down towards my end of Silver's Mills, did have a landlord question if that culvert between Jerry Peters and Scott Nelson's, it's almost out of the ground. So Jerry's Fields floods and they put a big riding arena in last year, and they actually, when they did the arena, they, on their part of their 33 feet from the center line, they've already got all the underground. They're ditching, trenching, everything. So once that culvert does get properly set, the
Should
water,
work.
everything should work properly. But I was asked about that one. That with the work on the other end, is there any chance that, yeah, I know. I just,
My budget's gonna be tight.
I would say, you gotta be running out of money.
Yep.
just
It's gonna
wanted
be very
it
tight.
brought up.
Okay. I will take note.
Yeah, because you're basically, you're pulling your culverts from the paving, and then we're gonna pave as much as we can.
Right.
So, I mean, you could leave, you could do a little less paving so you could have some slush, but it's,
Well, once we get through this, and it's gonna be like we did last year, I mean, well, last year we actually officially froze.
Yep.
But, I mean, you're doing the same pace. Once all these bills comes in, you know where we're at, and what we can move forward with.
Right.
yeah. But you really can't spend more than the budget without going to a special.
Nope, but that's what I'm saying, is I know,
Which we don't have an intention of doing, but,
we're already intentionally planning on using up all of our funds, but just in case, if there is any left, if we continue from French's Mills down through, once we hit Brockway Mills, that is the next one that needs to be done. So, it's not really trying to pull anything out of a hat, it does fall in the order of how we are progressing.
Yep.
Because we did them, I can't remember last year, maybe the year before, but a lot of them on the other end that we replaced twice already are flattening out, and those are gonna be a conversation probably next year or
Right.
year after, so.
anything else? Item 7, new business. A, dog rabies clinics and dog licensing policy.
So typically in the fall, December, or maybe January, February, actually January, because you don't want to go beyond January 31st, towns offer rabies clinics for their residents so that the dogs can be licensed. And I've talked to at least Doreen in the office. If we do it on a Saturday, then she would come in and we can do rabies and licensing on the same day. So hopefully we can get more people to do that ahead of time. She said that it's been a long time since Sangerville has done a rabies clinic. I would like to do that. And as far as dog policy, the problem is with like the 2017, if people haven't paid, I don't know. My understanding is that they can come in and pay 2018 without paying the 2017. So I want to make sure that that's true first. And if it is, can we put a policy that says you have to pay? So that's kind of where I'm looking for as far as policy. So
Yeah, because you get dinged if you don't. It's what, $30 or something.
25.
It's 25, right? And then
Yeah.
plus the registration,
right,
which is $7 or whatever. it is.
6
So
or
it's-
11, depending on if it's
okay,
state or
6 or
neuter.
11. So it's pricey if
Yeah.
you miss. Now, as
And
far
that's per dog.
yeah, I know. So
Yeah.
do the vets come and do the clinic?
Yeah.
They come and do and what, at a reduced price?
It's either $10 or $15 for rabies and 10 or 15 for distemper. They usually offer only those two. I think it's 10 rabies, 15 distemper. Could be the other way around. But anyway.
No office visit.
There's
Right.
no office visit.
Well, the thing is, like
And
for
it's
you,
usually an
you
hour.
have 3 choices.
Right.
Because you may be able to get, was it Chapman out of Parkman?
Yeah.
I mean, he would be very affordable. I don't know how at Foxcroft that, then you have the one that's in Dexter too.
Yep, that's
And
right.
3 locals that,
Where
Not
do,
sure if-
historically, where do they bring the dog? Do they bring it right here, or?
Typically, we have an exit there. What I would
That's
do
good.
is set your tables here. The vet would be here because you have to have 2 volunteers. I was going to tag you for one. To sign the paperwork, fill out the paperwork for the vet, so that all the vet's doing is giving the immunizations.
Right.
And so we have 2 volunteers working with the people, filling out the forms, vet, and then they can just go out that door.
And does the vet collect the money? How does that work?
The vet typically collects the money,
Money.
yes, for their,
Right. For their.
yeah, and then they can take their dog out, they can come back in, the town office will be open, and they can license their dog.
This is probably a stupid question, but do we give abatements for that sort of thing? If a person has a pet and they can't afford to get the rabies shot and the,
Do we give abatements? No.
no.
The
or
state
assistance?
law does not say may, it says shall. So we shall collect $25 per dog if it's late. Have I foregone in the past? Yeah, the guy didn't have any money and he had 3 dogs and they were late for 3 years, and it's like, look, you pay
But
their rabies.
they do have to have the rabies.
They have to have the rabies or we cannot license them. So he did the rabies and I just charged him $25 for each year, not per dog, but for each year.
sorry, bring it, I just thought of something to do with a concern. I go backwards.
So
And I think that's good because it gets him in compliance.
exactly, and the reason for licensing your dog is not for making the town money or anything. It's to make sure the dog has rabies.
Rabies
Right.
shot. Right.
That's what the goal is.
Yes.
To make sure they're rabies.
More people get rabies from cats and dogs, but that's a whole other discussion.
And they can bring cats.
Maybe that's why.
Oh, there you go. People don't have to register cats though. No,
Correct.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I know that down, I can't think of his name, at the pet motel. I can't think of his
In
name.
Corona?
Yeah, he used to run one, and one day I drove by and I thought, what is going on? I saw him at the gun show and I said, what is going on? He said, we do a rabies clinic, but they do it at a very discounted price, and it was wall-to-wall people. Now, it wasn't connected with registering.
Right.
Well, this
Right.
is quite discounted if you figure there's no office.
That's right.
Right.
This is a
Yeah.
pretty good savings.
It is a great savings.
Yeah.
Well, I know Track Supply, they just did one not too long ago.
Oh, did
too,
they?
But I purposely didn't go to Track Supply that day, but I'm not sure how that turned out.
Right,
I just
right.
figured it had to be a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I mean, this, probably not this time, this is something you could do at your new gazebo. The vet could set up in the gazebo and,
Yeah, but you need the office, you need, if
well,
you
then
wanna
they
tag
come
it
down
with-
here and tag,
Right.
but,
Yeah,
December might be a little chilly for them.
yeah, no,
The
you
vet
definitely
might
don't,
not wanna
not
sit
now,
there.
but.
I think it's something definitely we should.
yeah,
you
I think
want-
it's a
No
great
cost to
idea.
us.
And the several vets that I would ask, and I do go for the one who's the one over in Dexter that's relatively, we'd wanna just
Going
do
out
the.
towards Ripley.
Yes,
I'm not
yes.
thinking,
Well, the old Doc Watson used to be out there, but I don't know who that is.
Oh, I know.
isn't
who
it
is.
Dexter Veterinarian Clinic?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is the
Yeah.
name of it. And then you got Foxcroft and then
Isn't it Champman?
Chaplin.
Champlin.
Champlin?
I think it's Champlin.
Where is that? Hey.
Parkman.
Oh,
out on Peace Bridge Road.
Is the library open on Saturday?
No,
So there's no business conducted here,
Correct.
that's a perfect day to do it.
One more checkup for something for benefit for me, residents of Sangerville.
that's right. I
Yeah,
think
no, and
it's
it's a, like I said, it's a pretty good savings, and
Yeah.
a lot of these folks, that $35 office visit is,
Keeping them away,
yeah.
you
A lot of
know.
them aren't $35 office visits.
That's right, that's right.
So
yeah.
it's cheaper to get them to come to your house than it is to go to the office.
Yeah.
Okay, that reminded me, sorry, my drugs and my brain ain't functioning. I do have a quick state concern or something to bring up. The other night, when I was out doing fencing and animal control, Gary stopped at the house because somebody had horses loose and blah, 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 and we got talking. And part of the conversation was, we got talking about him being our animal control compared to other towns, and he made a pretty impressive statement that, you know, well, about being a constable, and he thanked us, how we can enforce barking dogs and all this and that, but how he's never lost a case that he's taken to court. And when he said it, I thought of something. Our barking dog is an ordinance, and our constable's enforcing that, and he's never once lost a case. So why is it that an ATV speed limit reduction cannot be enforced by our sheriff's department and cannot be won in court? Because it's the same, it is a town ordinance that we're saying, and we need enforcement. So I did ask Gary this question, and he goes, I don't know why they can't. And I said, well, this is our interpretation of what we've been told. And he goes, well, how about I see what I can find out about that, and I will let you know. So Gary's gonna do some checking to see what he can find out, and not saying that's where we wanna go or anything else, but it would be nice to have the clarity on all of that.
Keep in mind, you haven't passed an ordinance yet. Your traffic ordinance has not been passed.
Correct.
Along those lines, you, just so you both know, there is a petition being circulated regarding ATV access in general. The goal of this petition would be, well, I guess it would go up for vote to pull it, okay? The people who circulated the petition want to remove all access, I think that's fair to say, but I didn't sign it, but I am aware of it. So just, you probably hear people talking about it.
But you haven't seen it. It hasn't been.
I didn't read it
proposed to you.
all yet. In fact, he may come in and speak to you, because I told him he needs to know the number of people he needs to get in order for this to
Number
be
of
successful, and
signatures.
I thought you might be able to help
It's
with that.
10% of the last gubernatorial.
That's what I thought it was, so,
Do you
which is
know
probably
what-
something around 65 or 70 people.
I'd have to look.
And honestly, part of me kinda welcomes it, because it's never, I don't think it was ever done that way. Somebody approached the board and said, gee, this guy would like, and the board acted in good faith, and then somebody else, so maybe it wouldn't be bad, I mean, just throwing it out there, but
It was
towns
all
never
done by-
voted.
It wasn't done by
Yeah.
petition, it was all done by, and at first it was very vague. Everybody was told if you wanted your road to open up, you had to get signatures. So they did that on a couple of roads, and then initially I tried to get around the pond done for the camp owners, so we could get back and forth to different camps. And, which everybody had been doing for years. Wasn't anything new with it, trying to do. So when I approached the town manager about that and asked about how many signatures, I was told, well, we don't really have a set number. And I said, well, do I get 5 or do I need 50? You know, I don't wanna, we're not taking this lightly, we wanna make sure this is presented right. He goes, no, we don't have a set number, just get some signatures.
See, he wasn't trying to get you on the warrant, he was just
No,
trying to
he
see if
was-
there's any interest.
Correct, get some signatures. take
Which,
it to the
none of
board.
that was necessary.
No, it was just a matter of swaying the board
Right.
to do one or the other.
Right.
I mean, to me, more is better, because then you're
Sure.
showing an interest.
Right, right.
Yeah, no, it would work with us too.
Yes.
If somebody showed up with
Correct.
50, it would be better than 2.
That's right.
Yep, but that's how all the roads got opened up. The only thing that's ever been forth to the town as a vote is part of when you open up a road for ATVs, the town is also, when you agree to doing that, you were agreeing to spend the money to buy the metal signs, to have your public works install them, maintain them, replace them, blah, blah, blah. So,
So the motorists know that there are ATVs up there.
right, cause those
Right.
signs are actually for the cars, they're not for the ATVs.
Right, so right, cause my road says no ATV access, yeah.
That's for them.
That is for them.
But anyway,
right.
that's just
right.
something that's percolating up there.
No, actually, on her, at the beginning, part of it, I think a little bit of it is, if I remember right, but where it stops, that's where, even like down, like, we did it on the intersection going down the Eastler Road. You know, every road right there has access, but we made sure that on, for the Eastler Road, we put a no access, just so everybody knew that, yeah, they're everywhere, but they're not gonna be
Right.
there.
Of all the roads that you would think would have access, the East Low Road would be the one, and it doesn't. Why is
That's
that?
because of the controversy and whatever reason, the undisclosed of how that road has been discontinued and lack of knowledge of where the discontinuation is. So you've got different people that have different views of where the town
Do
technically.
some people believe that's a private way?
Yes,
Okay,
completely.
alright. Completely?
Well, past the garage, basically.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's the first light pole is what is unofficially deemed as towns now. But the verbiage that I've understood, and I'm not saying it's right, but the way I was always told it was discontinued was at the Eastler Farm. Well,
Abandoned?
Correct.
Or just abandoned?
I'm not sure, we'd have to go and read. But the Eastler Farm is 150 feet from the railroad bed.
More than that.
But it's that.
Yeah, it's way down. Yeah.
So you're talking two different things.
No, in fact, no, that's another project we're getting off.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do.
So, but
on
anyway, that's
those
the only thing the
roads.
town has yet to approve. The town did approve in a public vote to authorize to spend the funds to buy the signs. So, one side of me says is, no, the town's never voted to open up these roads. But at the same breath, they did vote to open up the roads because they approved to spend the money to put signs up.
Yeah.
It's a
That's
catch
different.
22. It's
You
different,
had,
but it's,
you had to appropriate the funds by law, but the access was granted by the board.
but they didn't have to approve the funds.
They could have, but they did.
Correct, but they didn't have to.
No?
That's what I'm saying.
And maybe they wish they hadn't.
That could be as well. I'm not saying that.
Page 11, paragraph H, that you can review in your leisure.
Okay.
Okay,
I love
page
this kind of
11.
thing.
And honestly, I am completely in agreement, undecided.
Paragraph.
One side of me, I understand the petition process and it's everybody's right, but on the other side of it is I would welcome that particular person to come and have the conversation. And if, as a board, if we all agree that maybe that is the right way to go, to get that on a warrant article, I would rather have that on the forefront
Correct.
and have it public notice, could be on the website, so that both sides of this opinion
Right.
could have a time to whatever they wanna do, yay or nay for town meeting.
No, if I was a supporter of the ATV access, and this was gonna come to warrant, I'd
Right.
want it come to warrant as early as possible.
Right, right,
Yep,
yep,
So,
I think it's fair for everybody involved.
yep.
all right. Back to new business, B, bids sent.
Just letting you know that next meeting, we will have a fuel bid, a cleaning bid, and a grading bid. I reviewed the grading bid with Irving, and he more or less approved my bid. And I asked for two different ways, straight blade by the foot, and then total, and it's 13.24 miles of gravel road, and the carbide tips by the mile, and total 3 times a year. So that's what I've asked for. There was some question that Irving had about, well, we don't do this and we don't do this, but when, he's like, but if we're gonna add this, then it was a wash, so it's roughly 13.2, but I added more or less.
Cause that's, and honestly, roadside mowing is the same thing. We have never ever said that we're gonna grade 100% of our gravel roads.
Right.
We've always never said we're gonna mow 100% of our roads. And I think that's very bad. I think when we put out roadside mowing, it should be 100%, and the same way with the grading, it should be 100%.
Yeah,
It's only, long-term, I would think it's got to save us money, so.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I get, yeah, I mean, if a road needs to be graded, it should be graded. If it doesn't, then I guess you could say you don't bother, but I mean, hard to believe that they're gonna go several years in a row and not need to be
Right.
graded.
Well, at the end of the day, this one needs to be graded with X amount of hours onto it, compared to this one's really bad. It
Right,
needs to be
no.
graded with a lot more.
Yeah, and
Right,
some of them
right,
lack
right.
material,
Correct.
so all the
Right.
grading, really, you can't even do proper
Yeah.
grading, that's a whole other thing.
Correct.
And it's gotta be at the right time.
Yes, yeah. No, I think this would be, it's great to have an understanding of what it costs you per mile, or per foot, however they wanna do it, so. All right,
So I just
C,
wanted to-
Is the bid by mile? You said by mile, right?
I had him put in by the mile in total.
Ah, got it.
Bid total.
Okay, good. Okay.
C, Melissa Randall sent all of us an email, I'm sure you all received it. I should say another email, actually.
And I think I gave you the response from MMA Legal, so you have that as well. Oh, and so she does, before we get into the letter, on the bottom, she had a FOA request for any emails or notes that were taken by me or any of you as a board member. So if you have any emails or notes that you, regarding this email to Chummy Jackson, she would like copies of that.
And she being Melissa?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I
if-
had a paper copy that was given to me, and honestly, I did not have time to look. I will look to see if I still have that.
But no
That's-
notes or
that's-
emails,
nope,
you
that's-
just had a copy
Nope, I
of
was
the
handed a
email.
paper copy of the email.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Do we want this read into the record?
This letter?
Yeah.
That's fine. By the paragraph?
Yeah.
So the first paragraph, I am writing in regards to the minutes/agenda of the September 13, 2017 Sangerville Selectmen's meeting as posted on the town website. Specifically, when did I submit a private email addressed to Gerald Jackson to either you or any elected official as an FOAA request for information from the town in regards to the widely rumored emergency board committee meeting of Sunday, August 20, 2017?
Okay, just a correction, emergency road committee meeting.
That's how she's worded it.
Right.
But it was not a road committee meeting.
Oh, but are you reading the letter?
Yes.
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 And the letter says emergency road committee.
Right, that's from her.
Right, this is the,
Oh,
She's saying that it was an emergency road, but we know it was an emergency selectmen's meeting that the road committee
Right.
was invited
Invited
to
to-
attend.
yes.
Well, we assume that that's what she's referring to.
We assume, we don't know.
right, okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
This almost seems like, well, it is a question. It's like she's under the impression that we need her permission to discuss these emails. I mean, I'm not sure why she would pose the question.
MMA's clearly stated, right, that if anybody receives, if you send an email,
to a town official,
then that's public.
yes, subject to FOA. Especially if it is all town business.
But it doesn't, we don't have to have any type of FOA request for information. If we receive third party an email with questions pertaining to town's business, we have a right or a responsibility to somewhat address these concerns.
That is
That's how I'm
correct.
viewing this.
That is correct.
And MMA is in agreement with that.
Right, and I'm gleaning from this question that she's under the impression that we need her permission, which is quite,
When you hit send, your permissions are,
yeah, I'm just,
Right.
okay, so
Right.
you can go to the next, because she kind of repeats this assertion.
The September 8th email sent to Mr. Jackson from my private Gmail account was addressed solely to Mr. Jackson. And even though he is an appointed member of the road committee, I did not request him to forward my email to you or the board or to respond as a member of the road committee. If I wanted to bring the August 20th meeting out as a public issue, I would have submitted an FOAA request for a copy of the original posting of the meeting from Sunday, August 20th to you as the public access officer.
as we already,
Right.
MMA said, you don't have to, when you send an email, it is no longer private, it's public.
Right. Be-
Under,
And once she sent it to Mr. Jackson, he can do whatever he
yes.
likes.
No,
with
in
it.
fact, as a town official, a member of the road committee, and her concerns were around the road committee,
Right.
he's really, I would say, obligated.
I would,
So,
I believe so
but
as well.
this last portion where she says, if I had wanted to bring the August 20th meeting out as a public issue, I would have submitted a FOIA request for a copy of the original posting of the meeting from Sunday, the 20th. You as a public, so that's true. She would have if she had wanted, she didn't want that information.
Right.
It begs the question as to what your motives were for sending this email to the select board member, or the road committee
road committee.
member.
But we didn't respond to this email as an FOA request. We
No.
responded to this because a town official received an email of a concern within our road committee.
Right.
It was brought to our attention, we addressed the concern as a concern, not as an FOA.
Right.
No, that's true, but I just find it odd that essentially she's saying, I really had no interest in the truth of the matter. What I really wanted to do was have you guys not get involved while I send these emails to your committee members. Anyway.
Paragraph 3. Further, it was your and the board's decision to make Jackson's email an agenda item on September 13th. Item 7K was not on the posted agenda, and therefore I had no idea that you would be taking it up in public. To compound matters, the email that you published without my permission on the town website in reference to item 7K is not the same email that I sent Gerald Jackson. I do keep copies of my sent mail and can produce a properly identified digital copy should the need arise.
So does that mean that Mr. Jackson changed the email? Has anybody asked Chummy?
I have not, it was an email,
Right,
it was printed, it was handed to me. I took it as face value
right.
from the source, that
Right.
it was accurate, to the best of, I didn't have it analyzed.
You Jody, you've landed on what I think is probably the most interesting part of this whole letter, is that essentially, first of all, if it's not a fair representation of her email, I don't blame her at all for being upset. I would be livid
Right.
if someone fabricated an email that I supposedly, particularly one as disparaging as the one that she sent,
Right.
supposedly. I would say, if that's what she's alleging, that Mr. Jackson fabricated an email and handed it off as though it was an original, that's a very serious allegation.
I wish the copy of that should have been right with this, and then we would have,
I have a copy.
no, I mean, but instead of making
Oh,
a
she
statement,
could have said,
yes.
yeah,
she should have
Yes.
just said, this
Yes,
is my
here
original
it is.
email.
right,
Here
that
it
would have been
is.
good, but I guess as a board member, maybe we should offer to
For her to
carry the
submit-
torch on this.
Right.
If she's alleging that something like that happened,
Has been changed, then
that's a big deal.
Then,
I'm just kind of personally, I'm just kind of hoping that, we did this because this is the right thing to do. We didn't do anything illegal, this is proper, this is what our responsible is to address concerns. I would really just as soon see this conversation, we're addressing it because we got another email. So I would like to see this conversation end, instead of keep pursuing, or whether or not it does, that's gonna be others' emails that are gonna come next.
right.
Yeah, well, if it turns out that her email is significantly different than the one that was turned in, then we've got another matter to look into.
That's right, because then there's,
Something's amiss.
that's right. And that would be helpful, if, to us.
Yeah,
So that
absolutely.
we can.
Sure.
Because
deal with
really, the only
facts.
reason we're vetting these things is these rumors are destructive.
Right,
And if she's not the cause of it, then I don't blame her at all for being upset.
absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, there's no mischievousness or anything. It was a concern. Our issue is to address it and get it fixed and move forward. It's not to try to do anything.
Well,
No.
if this
Or-
email that she sent to Chummy is the actual thing that she sent, it's not very flattering of us or the town manager or something. That's why we needed to address it.
That's right.
Plus it was false.
Correct.
So, anyway, that's,
So, I mean, we would be more than happy to entertain, or to,
investigate it.
right,
If
if
she
she
needs
is
to.
willing to provide
Yeah.
her digital copy.
And that's a whole new world because I have no idea. How do you take somebody's email and actually how do you take that or send that to anybody? And how do you know that that's actually the original that was
You
sent
don't.
and wasn't fabricated?
No, you're right, you're getting into a can of worms. I mean, if
You're getting into a can of worms. I don't really think that.
I just
We
doubt
shouldn't
it.
touch.
I just doubt it. But that's really the
I don't know
essence
how
of
you're
her
gonna prove.
allegation.
Basically, at the end of the day, you're gonna have two people saying two different things. It is what it is.
You could easily end up in that.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Next paragraph.
As you are aware, I am no longer a member of the board, and my private emails in regards to town affairs are no longer subject to FOAA. The public posting of my email to Mr. Jackson appears to be a malicious attempt to embarrass and discredit me. As a private citizen, I have the right to inquire as to rumors floating around the town. It seems only right that you should have contacted me about the email before you took it up in a public meeting. As it stands, it appears you and the board have violated my Fourth Amendment rights to privacy, my First Amendment rights to free speech, and have publicly defamed me.
I 100% disagree with all of the above. So
Well,
there was no part of start backwards and go forward. We didn't defame anybody. I mean,
Right.
it was a written statement that was proposed. We analyzed it. We said our take of what actually happened and to set the facts straight. We didn't in any way, shape, or form discredit anybody one way or the other in that process. So,
and if we can assume for a minute that Mr. Jackson didn't alter this,
yeah.
I'm willing to approach it from that way, then the only discrediting was in her own words. We read her email.
Right.
So
And I don't understand the Fourth Amendment rights.
that's that one. Even her speech is pretty free flowing.
Yeah,
So
And
I
once-
disagree. I'm
once
not
she-
an attorney, but
yeah, once she sent it to, Mr. Jackson, she has no privacy. Unless he chose to keep it private. The other question I have, is it appropriate to ask Mr. Jackson whether he omitted things in that email or added things or
Yeah,
Changed it.
he's a committee member. We could
that's
ask
right,
him.
if he changed it.
I mean, it's a matter of public record that
Right.
she's saying that what we received wasn't accurate. Now,
Right.
she could say, it could be said that he didn't change it, you changed it.
correct.
There's only two people that are supposedly, you supposedly got it from Mr. Jackson.
And he gave you a photocopy.
You gave me a paper copy, yeah?
Right,
Right.
so,
Those are the only variables.
right,
So I think it's appropriate if you wanna show Chummy what we have, ask him if it's consistent with what he received from her.
right.
At
If
least we can
he-
put that.
Yeah, he perhaps deleted the last part, or, whatever, so we don't know, so I think that's fair to, but in any case, the First Amendment was not violated, and the Fourth Amendment to privacy was not violated, because it was Chummy who gave us that. The other thing is, as a private citizen, I have the right to inquire as to rumors floating around the town. It would be my hope that private citizens would approach us as a board instead of trying to take care of rumors that are floating around the town.
Or perpetuate them.
Correct.
Particularly, and I mentioned this with our last letter, I think the part that bothers me the most about this, I mean, we all have experienced citizens that make erroneous claims.
Right.
And maybe they don't even realize that their information is inaccurate, or the procedure that they're alleging just doesn't happen that way. This person has more experience than all three of us combined. She knows that these sorts of rumors are destructive. She knows better than anybody. So, yes, her first course of action would be, I heard this rumor.
Right.
She would call Lois or one of us and say, here's what's floating around.
Right.
Not repeat it.
Right.
And repeat it in a very disparaging way. So it just doesn't, it lacks credibility, that's all.
Yeah. So I think that's, and certainly none of this has been malicious. It's us trying to do our jobs.
It's us essentially sharing what she's been saying.
Right. Right.
It's interesting, there was considerable discussion about a previous email in the last month's or last meeting, in which this document was shared. She doesn't reference anything in that previous email in this email.
Right. Right.
For some reason, she's fine with all that. Or maybe not, I don't know. So, and it's the last chapter, or the last paragraph.
I request under the guidelines of FOAA, any emails or notes taken by you or any board member in regards to my email to Mr. Jackson. I would like it clarified as to whether Mr. Jackson's private emails are part of the public record and subject to FOA since he is a member of the road committee. And further, I await an explanation for your and the board's actions as my civil rights may have been violated and I'm holding you and the board responsible.
And everything has been sent to MOA.
Yes, MMA, and we have a response which we can read into the record as well.
And again, she knows that all committee members are subject to FOIA better than anyone. She's been doing this forever. So yes, the answer is they are subject to FOIA. And we tell all the committee members that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And
Part of our policy.
Yes.
There's no other way you can do the
I mean,
business.
that's part of-
It's state law.
But I mean, it's part of why we went to the.
Correct.
Committee policy,
did.
With the
right.
committee policy, so all of this was on the forefront.
yeah.
And you can't ask this, doesn't do you any good to ask the question now because we already answered it.
Right. Right. And when I meet with the committee members, I tell them, anything you receive is subject to FOA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're subject to the ethics policy. That's part of the reason they take an oath.
Right.
So yeah, again, I'm really shocked that she doesn't know that. And as far as her warning about holding the board responsible,
I feel we did the right thing.
Right.
If I'm responsible for doing the right thing, then.
yeah, and I guess I would just personally, my position is we will continue to discuss these sorts of communications.
Right.
Any email that we receive, I think needs to be, the only way we're gonna get our town on the right track and moving forward is to eliminate rumors or satisfy rumors. The only way you're gonna satisfy rumors is by bringing them out.
Invite the scrutiny.
Correct. Bring them in, discuss it openly, and move forward.
I really, really would have been nice if these are sincere concerns, that she would have showed up. This is 2 meetings in a row now where she's had extensive emails accusing us of some pretty weighty violations.
Right.
We've told her specifically we were going to address them.
And she's not.
She shouldn't have. So,
So.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, and you said we had an MMA response.
I do have an MMA response. It says, Dear Lois, to follow up on our phone conversation, the email in question is directed to a public official and it only refers to matters that are of public interest. An individual should have no expectation of privacy when discussing matters of public concern to a public official. As such, I do not think there was an infringement on this individual's rights in disclosing this email. However, going forward, I would caution against publishing the emails of private citizens if it isn't necessary to address the matter of public concern. Town officials may run into problems if they accidentally disclose information of a purely private nature. I hope this helps, please get back to me. So what she's saying is, even if it's a resident that receives an email from another resident and they give it to you, we can discuss it, but maybe not necessarily publish it. And where I had published that one to Chummy with the minutes, it is posted on the town website. But it is all town concerns. And so she said the caution was, if it's a private resident and it also includes personal information, we do not want to publish that, but we are free to address any concerns that's brought to us.
Okay.
And also, I'm not opposed to the idea of forwarding any of these emails to them before we do this anyway, and then we can be on the
Yeah,
foresight
I agree.
of,
Yeah,
you know,
let them.
part of that
vet
be
them.
the conversation, that this email was received, we forwarded to MMA, this is their response to,
Yep.
and then move
Because
forward.
once we receive one, it's public record unless it falls under some provision like this. So, yeah, sending it on to MMA, what do you think? Should this be,
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Yep. Yes.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's gonna move us forward positively, you know?
Yeah.
Right, and we-
Maliciously, or,
But and I think the thing that people need to appreciate, when we're becoming aware of serious accusation like, you know, an illegal meeting or a FOIA violation, it's really incumbent upon us to address it. We can't just say, well, that's silly and not talk about it.
Right. We need to get to the bottom of it.
So, that's why we're gonna keep doing it.
That's right. And stay on top of it.
Yep. Okay, anything else on that? Item 8, old business, Christmas office schedule.
So I talked with the ladies about our Christmas schedule.
Lovely graphic.
The lovely graphics. And they insist that it's going to take all day to do that. Now, we did discuss, in the past, it has been just the two ladies that have done year end. And so my suggestion was, because I can help them this year, so let's see how this year goes, and then if we can adjust it, then next year we can maybe be open an extra hours on the last day.
So it's just compounded by the fact that it's that Friday and it's in the same,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and
in
the month
same
and
week,
Christmas all the same. It
yeah.
happened last year, it did.
And it's gonna
It's
happen,
happened every
it happens
year.
next year too.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't like it, as we discussed last meeting, but on the other side of it, I do understand this is your first year for Christmas, so you personally haven't seen.
What they do.
Correct.
Yes.
and the day after Christmas,
It's a Tuesday.
and is still closed.
I can come in if you want it to be open on the Tuesday. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't think Tuesday's the issue, myself, I really don't.
Well, at our last meeting, we talked about the process, and
Right.
you said it was essentially like a 25-minute process.
It is. I mean, that's just hitting the button to reset everything. There are reports and stuff that you have to do. State payables, you know, you have to pay B&V, you have to pay Vital Records, you have to pay. And they discussed doing reconciliation of taxes, real estate taxes. So that was a new one to me because I hadn't done that in the past. So there are some other things that they may do that I am unaware of just to close out the year end.
Let's do it and use it as a learning tool, and maybe we make it better next year. I mean,
Right.
It is
Right.
what we've always done. Don't like it, but it is.
I just have a hard time with closing the whole week. We were open Thursday. That just seems bad, but
And then the following Monday is what? What day is that? That's,
January 1st.
it's January 1st, so it's closed again?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's
And
the-
we're closed on Wednesday.
Yeah.
yeah, we're closed Wednesday anyway.
Right,
It's a 2-day holiday, Monday, Tuesday. We're gonna open Thursday, then we're closed all day Friday.
right. And then Monday closed as well.
And you're paying holiday pay on both, you're paying the holiday pay for your Monday, Tuesday, so you're already paying out your 40 hours.
It's
So
hard for me to believe that we couldn't do some of that work on Wednesday.
You can, but you're not budgeted for it. That's the only thing. I mean, you're getting year
Well,
in.
if we're gonna be closed, when we're closed on Friday, we're still paying.
Correct. You're paying Monday and Tuesday because it's holiday.
Right.
Then you're paying Friday, cause they're working, but the office is closed. So if you're open Thursday, you're paying, so everybody's getting their normal work week pay.
Right.
So the question is, if you wanna be open on Wednesday, we could,
But
but you're gonna pay overtime to be open on Wednesday.
Even though you're closed on Friday, Tuesday, and Monday.
Correct. Because overtime pay counts against holiday pay. Or holiday pay counts towards overtime pay.
Honestly, this is the manager's call. If that's the best we can do, then that's the best we can do. It just,
Stinks.
it doesn't seem like a great deal for the
I mean, I can
taxpayers
do
of Saginaw.
Wednesday afternoon, I wouldn't wanna do all day, let the ladies have the morning.
It just, when
But
you,
the ladies are gonna
12
be in
to
here on
5.
Wednesday, right?
Well, but see, they come in earlier, and Doreen isn't here the whole day, because she's not the 40-hour employee, she's 36.
Okay, but-
So she only stays like 3, maybe 4 hours, and then she leaves. And Alvina usually comes in around 7, and she leaves usually around 3. So what I'm saying is, I can cover until 5, I don't have a problem with that, if we
Right,
do
so if
12
the both
to
of you though
5.
doing what they're doing on Wednesday, could they just leave the office open? Cause we are paying them. We are in here.
well, I guess normally on Wednesday, they're coming in and doing things that don't pertain to the public traffic, okay?
Right.
I'm saying for that one Wednesday, why couldn't we focus on the few items that we need to focus on for Friday, so that you can do the 20-minute thing at 5 o'clock, and we're just open on Friday? And so,
That's a
we
tough-
had a little
yeah.
shift of responsibilities on Wednesday from what we always do. Then you've got two full days open, Thursday and Friday.
now, but the question is on Wednesday, can you close out anything?
No, and see, that's it,
You don't
because
have
whatever
open
transactions you do on
On Thursday,
Thursday and
have to-
Friday have to be accounted for on those reports
Fridays.
on
That's
Friday.
why I would leave it up to you.
Yeah, well,
That's the best we can do, that's the
yeah,
best we can do.
yeah.
If
I
everybody's
mean,
gonna
I
be
can
on,
do a Wednesday, 12 to 5. I'd
I mean, the girls are gonna be here in the morning, they could have the office open. They're not gonna be behind from Monday and Tuesday, cause they're not gonna be working. So they're gonna come in Wednesday from previous week. So they could be open, we could be open all day Wednesday.
Yeah.
If you do the afternoon. Right? Cause they're gonna be here anyway, we're not adding hours.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure how helpful that's gonna be, because the entire community thinks we're closed.
Right.
Well, that's the other
Well,
side.
that's why we
problem.
have this,
Yeah.
Right.
Now, yeah, I mean, that's true, I mean, you're putting up this schedule to let people know, and so one of the alterations could be that there's some availability on Wednesday. But in light of the fact that there's nothing on Friday, that could be helpful, and nothing on Monday.
right?
Is Monday, Tuesday, or the following?
No,
It's
Tuesday
just
we're
Monday.
open.
Yeah.
So just the first is a holiday, not the second.
Wednesday's better than nothing. That's what I'm trying to get out of something.
Hey, like I said, I would say
At
do
the end of the
very
day,
best
it's
you can
your
do.
decision, not
Right.
yours, cause you set the office.
Plus, we don't really know of all the moving parts.
No.
It's easy
No.
for me to say, well, just do this on Wednesday, well,
Well, that's just it. It's easy for me to say, well, you guys are in there. You're not
Open
gonna get
the
that many
door.
people, just leave the door open. But then you get 300 people throw up and Wednesday's total chaotic and heck, then they don't get nothing done. That
Right.
might not have been a good idea.
Right.
But on the other side of it is I don't know how many times on a Wednesday we've had different specials throughout the day, and every single time somebody shows up on Wednesday to go to the town office.
yeah.
So, I know the
They
public
do, I had
knows.
2 people come today.
That's what I mean. I know everybody knows it's closed, but everybody forgets it's still.
That's
not
Wednesday.
people.
It's
Yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
Well, and that, I mean,
Yeah,
not to change the subject, but we get into next year's schedule, I'd love to see that.
It's just like
I'll figure out a
change.
way to get some
Right.
coverage, but,
Right.
I'm leaving it up to Lois. My opinion, it's a manager's decision.
I would agree. That doesn't require a motion?
No. Not if you're leaving it up to me.
B, sand contract.
I did not make you a copy of it. The one question that we had that we didn't talk about at any time or on any bid was, if we run out of sand, how much is C&W Newt going to charge us for more sand? So I asked him, because it has to be in the contract, and he said he would charge $15.25 per yard with a 300-yard minimum because he would have to get into Chummy's pit. And it does say pending approval of the board. So that's a question that we need to talk about as far as,
Did we run out of sand last year?
No, we had more sand.
no, we had some left over.
Well, we had like one load, maybe we didn't buy a couple loads.
I mean, last year was a bad sand winter.
But we had more on.
We started with
I
more.
think we started with 1,800, I'm not positive.
1,800 total or 1,800 plus what was left?
I think total.
Well, this is 2,000 plus what was left.
Alright, maybe it was more than that. I thought it was more, can't remember.
I thought it was 1,800 plus what was left.
We bought it maybe, so it'd be like 20, something, 23.
I'd be curious as to what,
Typically in the past, I don't think it's
avenues
been in the
are-
contract. We buy what we buy, and if we run out, I know last
we
year
beg, borrow, and steal.
we was at the point Mr. Pinio was making some phone calls, cause it wasn't looking like we were gonna make it. And I'm pretty sure I'm thinking it was Haley's was where we was getting some numbers from, and they were a
Expensive.
lot more than that.
Yeah, I think it's valid to put it in the contract, because then you're not making racing
Well, at
around.
least you know.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, it's-
I
yeah.
think.
I'll guarantee you in April or March, you're not gonna find sand for that price.
Right, so I think it's
If you,
wise to put it in.
Yeah, well, it
the
doesn't hurt
contract.
us.
Right,
We're not obligated to buy it from him.
no, and
Right.
if we need more,
Right.
300 yards, I mean, each time they go out and sand, how much do they use, do you know?
More, not 300 yards.
That'd be an interesting, just
Right.
curious to know, but.
Typical application.
But the other point is it doesn't go back, so, okay, we have that 300 yard minimums, great. It's left over, then
Sure.
we have it for the next year, so I think that we should put it in there. And then we know what it is gonna cost us if we go over.
but you're putting in there as verbiage if needed.
Right,
You're not putting it
yes.
in there as
No.
guaranteed.
Right, it
when
says
we
if
buy.
more sand is needed in the
Sure.
2017-18 winter season, you agree to supply sand at $15.25 per yard pending approval of the board.
Right, but it
Yes.
doesn't say that we agree to buy it only from him.
Correct.
right.
That's the other
if-
piece.
That's
That's what I was
right.
going
So, that, as long as that's the case, I don't see any reason not to
Right,
have that in there.
exactly, yeah.
It protects us, it's kinda like locking in your heating fuel.
Yep, but then being
With
able to
not
shop
being
around,
obligated to
yeah,
buy it,
that's right.
exactly.
I mean, I'm
So
thinking
that's
that's
good.
like $4 or $5 a yard cheaper than numbers we were hearing.
Yeah, and chances are we won't even need it, but if we do, we know what it will cost us.
And is it just sand, not salt?
That is just sand.
Just sand,
Salt we can buy whenever we want,
okay,
if I'm.
okay,
That is correct.
okay. Good,
Yeah, that's a nice addition.
yeah, I think that's
This is the same contract I used in Bradford for sand salt.
great.
And that was all set, CW was okay with that being added in, and good? I don't see anything.
Very good. I think that-
Motion for that? Or, I guess it doesn't really matter.
If you need a motion, I make a motion that we make that addition to the bid,
To the contract.
to the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
All of us.
Item C, Gray Road grading, smoothing above Lentini's.
Lance Burgess came and asked if the town would do a favor. If you've driven from Lantini's past his place, it's pretty rough. He's willing to even just say if the town will allow, for example, Butch to use the town dozer to smooth that out. He's willing to, but it is pretty rough.
Have you asked Butch?
I have not.
Okay.
I kind of want to get your feelings on it. I thought Irving was going to be here tonight. Irving's opinion is that is a town way for 1 mile.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, well,
My question is, where
We
is the
haven't
1 mile
had-
marker?
1 mile is,
Well, way beyond, yeah.
It's where?
It's where we ended our ditching last
No,
year.
I know that, but with regard to Lentini's and then going up to.
It's all
after
within that
Burgess.
footprint.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Yeah, it's after
Oh.
Burgess.
But we're all still in that same conversation that we had early in the year of the public way and
Right,
doing work on it and doing more
Right,
work on it.
right.
And
right.
we kinda all agreed that we weren't gonna do anything until we get it discontinued properly.
Well, the question that we're working on, it is structured in that way, that is a town way.
Right.
So, and if you look at the motions that were made, the whole thing is a townway, that's why we're taking the question to the warrant. So, is it reasonable to fix a portion that we're gonna ask to be a townway? That's the question that he has for us. Now, if the town says, we don't want to abandon, if they don't pass that question, it's gonna be a pretty strong argument, that whole road's a townway.
Correct.
Which would then still support doing this little bit of bulldozing.
Correct.
So I don't see this as a real catch-22. The other thing, he had mentioned to me here one day, that like Mr. Burgess,
Okay.
that he was willing to do some bulldozing himself, but was reluctant, because he would need the permission of the board. That's another option that.
Does he have a bulldozer?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And that's actually part of his original agreement, is that he was going to do that work.
Yeah, when he provided the gravel, he was also gonna do some of the operation of the bulldozer.
I see.
But I think he was gonna use our bulldozer for that, or was it our loader?
Our loader to help move material. It was gonna be his bulldozer. He didn't want to use our bulldozer, actually. He wanted to use, his is bigger, I think.
We're out of grading money though, is that correct?
Yeah, we're out of grading.
So that really isn't an option.
The only option is use our bulldozer and find a volunteer to do it,
If Butchie will do it,
or allow Mr. Burgess
to use his own.
His own.
to do it.
Yeah.
Personally, Mr. Burgess has been using his bulldozer up there for many years. I don't see any issue with,
No, he needs our permission to do it. I don't have a problem
No, that's
personally
what I'm saying.
granting
I don't
it. So I would support that approach. Then you're not involving Butch or
Right.
another, or a volunteer, and you're not involving town equipment.
I would hate to think we are moving forward in a positive manner with volunteerism. I would hate to put a town volunteer in a sketchy situation within the community and
Right.
just end up being on the wrong side of the conversation.
Yeah, that's a good
That would-
point. I mean,
That would discourage them from.
someone's gonna find fault with
Sure.
whatever you decide,
Yep.
or whatever we decide
I mean,
right
he's
now.
up there trying to
Yep.
volunteering to do something nice for us in the town, and at the end of the day, he ends up being the bad guy. So that could not really help our volunteerism rate very much.
Right.
That's my bigger concern, and
I agree with that. So if we're gonna allow work to be down up there, if Mr. Burgess wants to do it himself, we give him the permission to do it? Is that the way to approach it?
I have no issue with that.
Okay,
I would,
Yep.
actually, what I would suggest is between the road commissioner or the road committee, somebody figure out what little or plus he can do and get him if he wants to do it. Rather than just let a landowner on his own.
he can't, no landowner can work on a townway without our permission.
No, I know that, but
Chris did some work
I
over
would
there
still
for
like
us
to
this
have,
year.
I would still like to
That's
have
right.
the road commissioner or road committee be involved in that. To know
Yep.
what is gonna be done.
Yep.
you know, and everything else.
Yep. Okay,
Yep.
does that require a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you wanna give him the permission.
Right. So, I make the motion that we give Mr. Burgess permission to grade his road with his bulldozer at his discretion.
I'll second that.
The gray road.
No,
No, we're granting Mr. Burgess to use his bulldozer for grading on
Above
the
Lantini's.
Lantini's.
Above
to the
Lantini's.
end
yeah,
of the
this,
town
the
line.
portion between Lentini's and his own residence.
Correct.
Correct.
There.
That is
Yep.
all deemed as a town way, under everything that we have in front of us.
As best as we can discern.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Yep.
So who made the motion?
Dale corrected my motion.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put, yeah.
And if he doesn't wanna do it, I understand, that's his call.
But,
And
yeah,
then
make sure he
do-
understands the full concern or conversation to the, it's not a matter of,
I agree with putting Butch in the middle.
Yeah, that's,
I think
yeah,
that's
no,
fair.
that's not a good. Plus, the other issue is he should know that we've run, that our grading budget is depleted for this year.
so our only option's either a volunteer to run the bulldozer, or we hire a bulldozer.
Exactly.
In either way,
We
Don't have
our
funds.
budget is depleted, so, for this year.
Item 9, correspondence.
None.
None. Item 10, request for additional agenda items.
I have two things. The first one is you have the note for this trio training. I will be attending that tomorrow afternoon in Augusta. And the second thing, forgot the guy's last name, but his son's vehicle was towed from this parking lot.
Kluge. Yeah.
He informed me yesterday that there is a little silver car sitting up in the Abbey Fowler parking lot and has been sitting there all summer. And
With no plates, no lights, and we noticed that the night we did.
Yeah,
that.
I've been meaning to ask you, but it looks like it's
So-
abandoned.
References like a,
I don't know whose it is. I don't know if it's possible to find out whose it is, but it should probably be towed if that's our ordinance.
Well, no, I mean, I think Dale's right, I don't think it has any plates on it, I think it's an abandoned vehicle. Now, maybe it belongs to someone in the neighborhood, but maybe
that
not.
night we was up there, I mean, there's no headlights in it, there's no grills, no nothing. I mean,
The police should be able to run a bin.
They
And
should,
tell you who
yeah.
last registration
Yep.
was. And if it's a Sangerville person, you'd be
They
doing a
need
great
to-
favor to call them before you towed it away.
yeah, I'm not really, I don't like the towing concept, but if the sheriff's department could find out whose it is in a polite conversation that, you know.
Well, you shouldn't be parking an
you shouldn't
untagged
be-
vehicle.
right, but I mean, it shouldn't
you
be
know,
there,
yeah.
please get that moved.
Yeah,
And if it's not moved in what you feel is a timely manner, and you need to get it towed, then I think that's right, but I think courtesy call, been there all summer, it hasn't been an issue, so.
yeah, but it should have been.
It should have been, but I would just.
I should have brought it up, I forgot about it.
Now, you did bring up something, this vehicle that did get towed, I brought that up when we have talked about that's gonna be, I don't know if we wanna do it now, or we wanna wait until we talk more about that policy, but.
The traffic ordinance?
Yes. That whole parking ordinance thing is very
Wanting.
needy. And I'm pretty sure we're on tape stating that we wrongfully towed. So, and we towed off an ordinance and it's in a draft. It's not even an approved ordinance, which is another sketchy thing, and I believe that was like $100 tow that the resident had to pay because of our error. So,
The ordinance says that if you park overnight, you're subject to towing. The problem was, he didn't park overnight, he parked in the morning, and there was some snow that had accumulated on it after he parked it, and Public Works assumed that it was overnight, so towed it.
Oh.
But our policy is ambiguous at best. That we probably shouldn't allow parking here at all, if that's what we're going to do.
but at the same breath, we're allowing people to park tractor trailers on the town garage.
Right.
Which is underneath the same policy.
Right.
So, in one breath, you're saying one thing, in another breath, you're doing something different.
There
This
should be some
particular,
consistency.
this particular, honestly, I felt bad for the guy, because he works up north in the woods.
Oh.
So met up with somebody else at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he'd been doing it right along, it wasn't a new thing. He goes to work and gets home at 5 or 6 o'clock at night,
That's Carlos.
no vehicle. So,
Then we were told, well, it was because of snow removal, because there was snow on it. But, I mean, we literally have had meetings here that before the end of my meeting, there's 3 inches of snow in your car.
Right,
Are they
yeah.
gonna tow all the selectmen's cars? I don't think so.
No,
So,
no.
it just was very inconsistent. I personally, I would have no problem giving this gentleman his money back.
Now, where did we tow it to? Where'd it go?
Whoever
called
we
the sheriff's department,
contract.
I think,
They impounded?
no, I believe, Scott Green's towing service, I think they came and got it, and then they paid, which ends up being in his tow area. and
I
then-
see.
So then you're responsible to pay that tow bill.
I see.
He just did what he was told to do. We called him and he towed it.
Was it Chris Cookie?
Yes.
Yes?
No, Chris's brother.
Jonathan.
I believe it was John.
Okay.
So now, he's seeing this
I'm
vehicle,
wondering, it's one or the other.
Right.
he's seeing this vehicle sit up here all summer.
Summer.
I paid
Sure.
$100.
Sure. Yeah.
2
yeah.
hours.
It's irritating.
That's a valid.
I'm not opposed to Mike's idea, if you would like to research that a little more. I really think the right thing to do personally is, we shouldn't pay the vehicle. We should own up to that, and, which we have done in the past, and
Reimburse him.
should be reimbursed. I
Yeah,
mean,
and then
we're clearly not doing what we say we're going to do if we have vehicles with no lights.
Right, right,
And our policy is, it's on our agenda to address it,
right.
but,
When we do the traffic ordinance. Right.
And I think I'm pretty sure that's actually, we'd have to go back through minutes, but it's in the minutes, the dollar amount of his ticket, it's all in there. And I know it was discussed over a couple of different meetings, and
Since January of this year?
somewhere.
This year.
I don't-
Yeah,
it wasn't
this year.
In the last winter
Before
season.
March.
it was in that period, in that last quarter, cause I was a party to those discussions. So it was before you.
So is there,
Last quarter
is there
last
a
year.
fine attached as well? There's the towing and,
No,
oh
just
no,
the
never
towing.
mind,
Just
just
the
the towing.
towing.
$100? That was expensive.
I'm pretty sure it was,
That's crazy.
Well, I thought at the time, I said, maybe we could negotiate with the tow company, gee, we made a mistake here, would you reduce it? And then we'll, something, but nothing, there was no
Nothing
effort
happened.
put in that direction. Cause,
Okay.
he gets to tow everything for us, I don't know how much there is over the course of a year, but,
Alright,
so, if it was our mistake, maybe he'd help us out,
but honestly, that is one thing, between that piece, that needs to be addressed. I would like to get the clarity from, with Gary or whatever, on the speed limit thing, to see if that's, but get that whole traffic ordinance, that needs to get out of a draft. And it needs to get finished, so
You have copies?
it's online. As a
And
draft.
I made you paper copies too, didn't I? So I can put that on our next agenda.
So the ball's really in our court.
Yes.
We gotta work on this independently, so that when we get here, we can,
That's correct.
okay.
And it needs to be whatever we decide. Honestly, at the end of the conversation, I'm not really a fit to a direction when it comes to parking lots and towings. But whatever we decide as a group, this is what we're gonna do and this is what we're gonna say. I wanna make sure it's something that we are willing to stand beside and do.
correct.
Right.
So,
And be
and it goes
consistent.
for every
And
parking
everybody,
lot.
and then that's
Yep.
what
I think that's.
engenders trust.
And I think sometimes less is better. I think when you get complicated,
Yeah.
after 7, you
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah,
park,
that's
but you
ridiculous.
can with permission. You're
Black
probably
and
better
white.
off just to keep it black and white,
Right.
because we don't have a police force that can monitor these things, it's just,
You're not timing vehicles, I mean,
Right, yeah, we don't have a meter read. Wait a minute, so Scott Green over in Dover towed it? So.
I believe, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that's who.
So the question is, there's a bunch of people that tow, should we find out who does it for the cheapest amount of money?
I don't think we do this enough to even really.
no, not
Okay.
only that, see, we don't care, because we
Right,
don't pay.
yay, true,
We just want the guy who shows up on time,
right,
and it's quick.
oh, and it's gone,
You're right.
okay,
But at the end of the conversation, you gotta remember is the way the ordinance is right now, the town garage is a parking lot.
right,
This is a parking lot.
right,
Abby Fowler is a parking lot.
The landing.
The gazebo is
that's
a
right,
parking lot.
that's right,
So,
Now, they don't all have to be, we can
No.
tell them what we want.
Right.
We can make the public works garage off limits to anybody but town vehicles.
right,
Maybe we should.
but I think that's part of what
Right.
what we need to think about, because when you start talking about Abby Fowler, that's residential parking now. You've got a lot of apartment buildings up there, so you do have overnight parking, you do have all weekend parking. When you go to the boat landing, you actually have camps down there that don't have road access.
that's
So
true,
they're pulling in there on a Friday
That's
night
right.
with a snowmobile and a trailer and a sled, and they're snowmobiling.
Oh,
and
are
the
they,
camp goes-
that's actually,
yeah.
yeah, that
Oh,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
Which,
can't get
which
to
is
it.
a violation of our current ordinance.
Right.
Correct.
And
So-
unfortunately, we haven't towed any of those guys, but
But I'm just
we
saying.
need to address all
That's
that.
Right,
all
right.
part
Yeah,
of the,
yeah.
and that's honestly, that's been and I'm sure it'll be a conversation for this year, but that's why we've always faithfully plowed that boat landing up through to the boat, right to the boat landing. over the last couple of years, that kind of back to the gate, and then we've kind of had to push a little to get that plowed, but that's the big situation, is you do have landowners that can't get to the camps. They do wanna be able to get up in there to park, so they can get to them, so.
And in the summer as well, there's
Yeah, they have boaters in
camps,
there.
right, well, and there's camps that you can only get in by boat. So they've gotta leave a truck and a trailer and things like that. So,
That's all stuff that we need to
But it's all
know
good,
before
yeah.
we, yeah, it goes
all
into
part
our
of it.
Right.
recipe.
yep.
Okay.
Quick question on your trio training. Is any of this, cause we've talked a little bit before about taxes and things, is part of that gonna have, and touch on any of that?
No, this is all the new stuff. This is the new stuff that Trio's going to be offering for its clients.
So is it necessarily new stuff that we don't pertain in, that because I mean, we don't have that
I don't
tax
know what
side
it
of
is.
it. You know what I mean? Isn't that correct?
You mean the real estate?
Yes,
We have just short maintenance, we don't have full.
correct. I didn't know if we'd be able to utilize the training for,
Making it full.
yeah.
I know how to run the full training, the full real estate,
Okay.
Are you the only one going to this?
yes.
Also, did we talk about this? George Tosher's letter?
It was
No,
just
we
an
have not.
FYI
Yep.
that he's trying to get
Okay.
them to move,
And is that on Center Pond?
yes,
Oh,
I believe so.
okay.
Yeah, I was surprised about that. It didn't have an address. So
Yeah,
I was curious where it was.
right. Yep.
Anything else
Although
for?
it's his map.
I
map
just wanted to
17.
along with the website and
Sorry.
the forms, there is an information request form
For the FOA.
that should be completed. It's for your records, so you know who's asking for what and what.
You don't have to go anywhere.
Are you guys gonna go? into
Yes, we are.
session? Oh. Shut this door?
Yep.
You can turn the, if you wouldn't mind, please, that candle in the hallway.
We're going to go into executive session. Personnel, 90-day review, Lois Jones, under Maine Revised Statute 4056A at 6:11.
Do you have a second
Sorry.
Oh, second.
and a vote?
All in favor? 3.